Hey guys, welcome back to Red Top Report. I'm your host, Joe Enders, and I want to let you know that we'll be canceling our Tuesday episode to focus on some breaking news. So have a happy New Year's. So apparently a man we reported on in Thursday's episode is in some pretty big trouble. There's all sorts of false info floating around, and we're going to try to get this story straight. On Friday, billionaire kickboxing champion Andrew Tate, along with his brother Tristan, was arrested on charges of alleged human trafficking and rape. Let's look at the press release from Romania's anti-terrorism unit. On December 29, 2022, the prosecutor's office of the Directorate for the Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism, Central Structure, together with police officers from the Bucharest Organized Crime Brigade, implemented 5 home search warrants in a case in which investigations under the aspect of committing the crimes of constituting an organized criminal group, human trafficking, and rape. Victims were recruited by British citizens by misrepresenting their intention to enter into a marriage/cohabitation relationship and the existence of genuine feelings of love, the Loverboy method. They were later transported and housed in buildings in Ilfov County where, by exercising acts of physical violence and mental coercion through intimidation, constant surveillance, control, and invoking alleged debts, they were sexually exploited by group members by forcing them to perform demonstrations pornographic for the purpose of producing and disseminating through social media platforms material having such a character and by submitting to the execution of a forced labor. So far, 6 injured persons have been identified who were sexually exploited by the organized criminal group. With regard to the crime of rape, it was noted that in March 2022, an injured person was forced on 2 different occasions by a suspect through the exercise of physical violence and psychological pressure to have sexual relations. At the headquarters of the Directorate for the Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism, Central Structure, 4 people who are reasonably suspected of being involved in criminal activity were taken for questioning. Following the hearings, the prosecutors of the Directorate for the Investigation of Organized Crime and Terrorism, Central Structure, ordered the 4 persons to be detained for a period of 24 hours. Wow, that's quite a statement from them. So they're accusing him of a lot of very serious crimes. But anyways, Tate appears to think his recent arrest is a targeted attack to get him to shut up, a line he's stuck with for a while now. Here's a tweet from Friday where he said, "The Matrix sent their agents." Very cryptic, very small, very quick. But there's more to this. In April, Tate's house was raided by the Romanian police after the U.S. Embassy accused him of holding women at his property, causing Romanian law enforcement to investigate him for the same charges he's being investigated for now. The April investigation appears to be bunk, though I can't say one way or another, but it appears to be, as the Romanian authorities did say that no person had been charged or arrested in the case. The investigation, however, is still ongoing, according to the authorities. But Tate claimed this raid was an instance of swatting, when an online hater reports you to the police to instigate a phony raid on your home. This might be another case of this occurring. It might not. We don't know. But this is interesting. Tate does admit, to at least a certain extent, that he's been involved in pornographic stuff in the past. It's still unknown if this specific business where he had a cam girls site is related to his arrest. No one's really presented any evidence. But anyways, here he is talking about a pornographic webcam service starting with 2 of his willing female companions who he calls his girlfriends.
We're going to start a webcam business. You're going to stay. You're going to live in London. I'm going to look after you, and we're going to get rich. We're going to be a team. And they're all like, well, who's this? I'm like, she's my girlfriend. She's my girlfriend. She's my girl. You're all my chicks. And you're going to stay here, and we're going to make some money. Big fight kicks off, blah, 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 blah. In the end, long story short, 3 left, 2 stayed. Those are my first 2 girls. And we started this little webcam business from my apartment. And it just grew and grew and grew. And it got to the point where at one point I had 75 women working for me in 4 locations.
Tate actually credits this business as the catalyst of him leaving the UK and moving to Romania, specifically over an altercation he had with one of his cam girls.
She starts texting me, you owe me my last month's wages, you owe me my money, give me my money. Did I text her back? I ain't paying you nothing. You threw up my blah, 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 blah. She went to the police. And told the police I hit her when I didn't.
On Twitter, a man called Gary the Numbers Guy, this is bizarre, now a vocal critic of Tate's, predicted Tate's eventual arrest back in October. He says, quote, "My sources in law enforcement have told me Andrew Tate will be arrested end of 2022, early 2023, no matter if he is guilty or not. The Romanian government is under intense pressure from USA/big tech to shut him down. It's pretty bizarre. Perhaps the most bizarre aspect, though, of this story is how the Romanian police identified his location. It was allegedly discovered through a Jerry's Pizza box he featured in a social media clapback video to climate change activist Greta Thunberg. Unsurprisingly, Greta responded to him in pretty savage fashion. She says, quote, "This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes." Yikes. That's the second one. She's doing okay when it comes to the whole clapback internet trolling thing. Can't say I support her or her climate change agenda, but outside of that, not a bad clapback. Needless to say, no one really knows what's going on with Andrew Tate. All I can say is that after learning these details about him, he's clearly no hero for men, nor is he pro-family. He's definitely not faithful to his Islamic faith if he's telling his female friends they're going to sell their bodies to make him money. Don't believe me? Here's what the Quran says about a man who forced his slave girls into prostitution. Quote, "Do not compel your slave girls to prostitution if they desire chastity, seeking thereby the interests of worldly life. If someone compels them, Allah is forgiving and merciful to them after their compulsion." So yeah, it's looking like Tate won't be getting his 72 virgins in the afterlife. According to his so-called scripture, the cam girls have a better shot at avoiding hell than he does. Point being, the man more closely aligns with a pimp on 8 Mile than he does a morally upright example of authentic masculinity. Grace builds upon nature, and Tate does have a baseline understanding of projecting toughness and strength naturally. That's rare in these times of turmoil and cultural degeneracy. He has the potential to bring great good into the world. But there's a whole lot more to masculinity than mere dominance. It's also virtuous leadership. It's stunning to me that this guy has so many Catholic followers. These men know manhood is to be undergirded by discipline and obedience to God above all else. And God commands you to protect the weak, not encourage their spiritual destruction like Tate is. Basically, your wife, or your eventual wife, is not an object of desire to be pimped out and used to serve your own worldly growth and temporal successes. Women are vulnerable creatures. They need your help to get to heaven. This requires no lecture, because everyone already knows it. Tate might as well be another godless secularist whose moral compass is dictated by himself instead of something higher. You're not a man unless you are a soldier of Jesus Christ and his church. You're in an eternal war against the legions of Satan, so act like it. My advice to Tate? Convert to Catholicism. It's the only place where you'll learn obedience and proper masculinity. And with that said, we'll be seeing you all again on Thursday for the next episode of Red Top Report. Thanks for joining us.